hip hop, hip hop, hip hop, hip bars is back. Hip hop, Santa hop. Oh God.
Now, recently, we all just seen that the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had the reunion, and obviously you were brought back. Bringing the mother. Great show. Appreciate all your contributions and everybody else. Could you first start telling us how you were called in for that role, and obviously had an audition, but what happened where they picked you for you to audition for that role?
Well, they asked me to audition for it when it first started. And that was the year that we moved back to Virginia. And what they approached me with was, there's a sitcom we're getting ready to do with this young rapper. And I said, no, thank you. I'll take a pass. I'm leaving town. And then I saw the show on the air that fall. And I said, oh, what a cute show that is. Well, you win some, you lose some. And 3 years later, they called me at the farm and said, would you come audition for the role of Aunt Vivian in The Fresh Prince? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
And I went, and it took two and a half weeks of auditioning, probably 5 callbacks. And I saw women I've never seen before. I think they went through about 200 women to find somebody. And when I finally got to audition with James Avery, we just clicked. And it was magic for me. And he was just such a wonderful, giving actor. And I guess the chemistry that we had showed because they chose me.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled.
Anytime we hear anything about James Avery, and rest in peace to James Avery, Atlantic City born, New Jersey, right down the street from our studio right now. So definitely we love that. What are some of your fondest memories of Mr. Avery?
Oh, dancing down the hall before we get ready to do the show on Friday night. He was a fabulous dancer. I remember sitting around in his dressing room. He played jazz and he taught the youngins about jazz. And he was an avid reader. And he was always recommending books and things to read. We would sit around on the couch between rehearsal takes, and the kids would all just look up to him while he was sharing philosophy and history. And he was an amazing talent. And they learned so much from James. He was like the rock of the show. He was really the central figure. And they adored him as I did. So
I think that resonated on and off air, because when you watch it, and we were kids when it was on, but Uncle Phil, you ain't play with Uncle Phil. Like we all had that dominating man, and it was like, yeah, you don't play with Uncle Phil. So obviously,
everybody loved that big hug. That was great.
Absolutely. One of the biggest parts, obviously, of the Fresh Prince reunion was a reunion between Miss Janet Hubert and Will Smith. Their long-going feud finally came to rest. Now, obviously, you've been associated with Miss Hubert since the beginning of the show, and this was your first time meeting Miss Hubert at the actual reunion. How was that?
Well, it was fine. I mean, she belonged there. She started the show, and I was so glad that they had put down their swords and embraced.
Yeah.
I had no idea what had gone on. They never spoke about it while we were on set. They said, no, we're not going to talk about that, which was fine. I had no animosity toward her. I didn't know her.
Yeah.
So when she got there, I wanted to let her know that since I was there, I was making space for her because she deserved to be there. And I got to hug her after everybody else had hugged her. And I said, welcome home. That's all I told her. Glad to have her.
Did you have, going back a little bit, did you have any pressure? Did you feel any pressure to taking an audition, like filling those shoes?
I didn't think about the idea of filling her shoes. I was not a dancer. I could not be what she was. All I could bring them was what I was and how I saw Aunt Vivian and how I saw how to be the matriarch of this wonderful family. And that's what I brought them. And that's what they bought.
We're so honored to have you on here, and I'm so glad to be able to ask you this question right now, because this is a question that's been going on since the show, and that's the whole light-skinned Aunt Viv versus dark-skinned Aunt Viv conversation. It's been going on amongst the fans, and thank God we didn't have social media back then the way we do now, because it would have been, I'm sure, on your phone 24/7. But what did you think about that? Obviously, being a strong Black woman, hearing that dark-skinned Aunt Viv versus a light-skinned Aunt Viv, they only picked Miss Daphne Reid because she's a light-skinned version. Wow, what do you feel about that?
I feel that everybody's entitled to their opinion, and we have been dealing with this since we were slaves here.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense, but that's what people feel. That's their feelings. I have lived my life being too Black or not Black enough. Doesn't bother me. I am who I am, and if I'm not what you're looking for, okay, find what you're looking for. I don't even deal with being upset because I'm the light-skinned one or called the light-skinned. Okay. I think I got a lot of humor out of the Aunt Jemima bottles that they had, Aunt Jemima and Aunt Jemima Light. I thought that was really cute. But it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, it was really a seamless, transition. I mean, I think, from watching, you were probably the best person, for that transition. And we kind of didn't miss a beat, in my opinion, for the show. So it was a great
way that they handled it. I was very pleased with how they decided they were going to make this change. And the audience knew it was a different person.
Right.
And to have Jazzy Jeff come in the house and say, "Oh, you sure look different since you had that baby." And Bill just broke the fourth wall and gave a nod to the camera, and nothing else was ever said about it. And I thought that was so classy.
Now the reunion, you guys were shedding tears and everything. It was very emotional. Can you take us, back through, coming back? I think it was 30 some years, just being back around those guys again on the set where you guys created magic.
Well, we have been in touch with each other over the years. We've been to weddings. We've been to, sadly, funerals. We've been to children being born. We do a couple of Comic-Cons together. Yeah, we've been around each other, but we had never been all together in one place for 27 years. And Will had set it up so beautifully. He produced the show and had each of us flown in, and we had to stay in separate hotels. So we were each treated to a lovely hotel. And he said, "I don't want you reunionizing before you get to set." So, of course, we were talking on the phone, but seeing everybody gather, and it was really a surprise to us that we were gathering on the old set. So it was a lovely, lovely reunion.
They had it set up like it's a real house. Is it a real house or is it just a Hollywood set? It's a set.
Yep.
So
how are three walls?
How are they renting it out on Airbnb?
That is a house.
Oh, okay.
That building is a house, and that's the building that was used to shoot the front.
I see.
But we've never done any work there. And what they did was take one room in the house, and they converted it to like the pool house bedroom, and had a lot of Will stuff in there, and the music, and a beautiful wall, and it was cool. But I don't know who got to get there, but
nice one.
It was a lovely idea.
Absolutely. Now, transitioning from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, obviously you guys had an emotional ending to the show. Nobody wanted to leave. We were talking to Ross Bagley last week, and you saw everybody was having food fights, and it was an emotional time and a great time. Y'all had fun. Talk about life after the Fresh Prince.
For me?
Yes.
It was, going back to Virginia, and the show ended in 96, and we opened the studio in 97. So I was a busy girl.
Moving, yeah.
Running that studio. And we posted feature films. We did a series there called Links that was on Showtime, starring Stephen Williams and who was Foxy Brown.
Oh, okay. Pam Grier.
Pam Grier, yeah. She starred in the show. We shot that in Virginia. And it was an incredible series that I hope gets back on air one day. So I've been working ever since, and I do other things, and we traveled a lot, which I love, and that's the thing that I miss most from 2020. is not being able to travel. I had plans in March. I was on my way to Accra, Africa, to get on a ship and go for 18 days around the Horn of Africa and end up in Portugal. And it canceled at about 3 days before we were supposed to leave. And I missed that trip, but maybe I'll do it again.
Have you ever traveled to Africa before?
Oh, yeah. I've been to South Africa. I've been to Morocco, but I've never been to Ghana or Nigeria. Tim goes a lot to Nigeria and Ethiopia because he does training sessions there with his film institute. But I travel all over the place: Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, all over.
Yeah. So what's in store for the future? I mean, what do you? I know you guys got the studio and everything, but what's in store?
No. We don't have the studio anymore.
Okay.
No. We sold that big studio. He has a little studio. I'm not working there with him. He's doing that on his own.
Okay.
I'm doing my own designing and photography, and I wrote a cookbook, so I've been hawking that. And for the COVID season, I've been making masks because I sew.
Oh, nice.
And I've been sewing since I was 9 years old.